Okay. Good morning.
Morning there.
Hey,
Good
Ron. Good
good
morning,
morning.
Dee. Good morning, Dan.
Thank you.
Morning, Susan.
Morning.
Good morning, Lawrence.
Good morning, Carol. I was wondering where you were because we've never seen Ron without you at his side. So,
Good morning.
good morning, Susan. How are you?
Doing good.
Okay.
Susan, you sound out of breath.
I just finished working out.
Oh.
Wow.
Good for you.
Hello, Jim. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Dr. Purvis, good morning. Let's see. Okay, so it is 9:30. Give it another minute and we'll go. Oh, we got Queen Lisa today too. Chris, reading. All right. So it is the 17th of April. It's got to be somebody's birthday, so happy birthday in case it is. And good morning, everybody. I'm glad that everybody's on here. The first thing is the little mantra, because I firmly believe that that is something that we should keep in our minds. The slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We shall persevere until we succeed. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between traditional sales and emotional sales, because I think there's a huge shift that we should understand. And that is what is sales actually? If you start with that, what is sales? In my opinion, sales is when you get somebody who wants to buy from you. You've managed to overcome some obstacles, and the person is is sufficiently confident in what you have that they want to buy from you. And I like the idea of people buying rather than me trying to sell. So on that vein, oh dear, what have I done now? Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Hold on, here we go. Mm.
Lawrence, you need me to let people in?
Um, uh, are there people waiting?
I don't know.
No,
I just.
no,
No, I think
no, no.
Martin has that. Thank you.
Oh, okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear Christ, what happened to that? My notes have all gone to hell. I'm sorry. So the difference between sales, here it is. The difference between selling is when you're trying to convince someone and you're pushing, you're trying to present something, you're trying to convince, you're overcoming objections. Those are the traditional ways of trying to sell. When you overcome the objections, you convince people, you're trying to convince people. But actually, people don't like to be sold. people like to be understood. That's the main thing. People like to be understood. And and the way to make the way to understand people is to ask questions. So we're looking at neuroscience, and it shows decisions, emotions, and first, and logic second. So the idea of that, which started to make me think about what I wanted to talk about today, was things that we look at. For example, when you go to the supermarket, there's impulse buying. You have no intention of buying something that is in the exit aisle when you're paying, and there's something there that is you're going to put it in your bag anyway. That's an impulse purchase. It's an emotional purchase. It's not a logical purchase. So we 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 have to understand that if we really want to be successful with our communication and how we sell or how we get people to buy, it has to be an emotional sale. They have to think about it. So it's a question of asking questions and discovering what the brain is telling them and us. So by questioning and inciting curiosity, it creates self-reflection in the person's mind. In other words, if you ask the question and the person has curiosity about it, it's self-reflection in that person. The person is now thinking, wow, I wonder. And they will start telling you what they are thinking, which is the big difference to trying to convince people about stuff, as opposed to someone thinking for themselves why they would like that. So instead of saying, can I show you why? The question is, what piqued your interest? There's a difference, but can I show you why this is something you need? Or from the questions you've asked, you could say, what piqued your interest? So what piqued your interest gets them to think about why they want what you've got or what you've just told them, or the questions you've asked them. They will want to answer the question. They will want to tell you why their curiosity is piqued. So this is now proactive from them. So there are always two decisions, two emotions, excuse me, that will make a decision. One is away from pain, and the other one is towards pleasure. And if you ask the right questions in the right way, people will start telling you what they're leaning towards. So discover which of the two they're leaning towards. So, for example, wanting to have a healthier life. That's a pleasurable thing. They want that. They want a pleasurable thing. Or if you bring up the pain of time, say, are you spending enough time with your family? That is a pain that they want to get away from, having limited time. So those emotions, I'm just using two, are the ones that we can focus on if we ask. So to be a good communicator and a salesperson, we're solving problems of the people we speak to. I've always said that. To do this, we have to carefully listen, understand what is sparking their curiosity. Keep asking questions. Often answer the question with another question, and they will answer. So, example then, to delve into the question of the question, you want more time. That's great. What would you do with that time? Because people often, when we talk about things and we have our little calls, and people say, and I say, what do you want? Oh, I want $1 million. Okay. What are you going to do with it? Think about it. Have you thought it through? Because people often just don't really think things through. $1 million in the bank at 5% is $4,000 a month. 4,166. Can you live on that? Probably not. Not in 10 years' time, not in 5 years' time, by the time you've saved 1 million. So ask the question, what would you do with that? By doing this, we're empowering the people to make decisions based on their own motivations. They will tell you how they see the result. It's about getting the people to tell us about them so that we can then say, oh, here we have something that we can offer you. Think about this. A realtor selling an apartment, and they show the view. They show, I mean, I've seen this show about the people going to live in the Caribbean, and they want a second house in the Caribbean or something. And the realtor will show from the balcony, they'll show the view. And the person will then say, oh, I can see myself sitting here having breakfast, looking at the ocean. So now you've just shown them, you've asked them a question, what do they want? You show them something, and then you make them guide you to what they want. And they say, oh, I can see myself sitting on the balcony here, and I can visualize that. So now they're buying. You're no longer selling anything. The same with the prism. Explaining, excuse me, by showing them the prism and explaining how and why it was developed, the person will begin to visualize themselves using it. Oh, I can see my kids now. I can scan my kids. Actually, I can see my friend needs to be more healthy. Or I can see how this would help financially. They can see themselves using the prism in a business or for their health or for their business. So what I'm trying to make the point here is that it's got to be, if we're able to impart the emotion in the person by creating the curiosity that they will answer, they will be buying. So once they've told you how and why, they'll use the prism. Ask them if they'd like one. Ask for the sale. This is something that I have not been good at, asking for the sale. But if you make a game of it, you can actually make a game of this. So for example, I went somewhere yesterday, and a person has several clinics. And he said, I'd like to get one. And I said, no, you're not. I said, I want you to get 3 of them. He said, why? I said, because I want you to put your clinics to compete. I want you to be able to get the clinics, because you might have a clinic that someone is doing very well, but the other ones may be not so interested. So you will get 3 of these, and I'm telling them what to do. You will get 3 of these, and then you will have a, you will I will help you to create a competition between them to see who can have the healthiest group in which is the healthiest clinic, who is having the best sales, who is having the most fun. And you make a game out of that. And then so the thing is, we're actually creating a population of people who actually want something. You know, when you look at the Oura Ring and the Fitbit and so on, people are sheep as well. My friend got an Oura Ring. I suppose I'll get one too, because he got one or she got one. Do they need it? No, but it's an emotional purchase. They're buying. We don't have to sell. They will buy if we ask the right questions. So, where are my notes again? So, if we're not sure we can talk about a vicariously. We can tell a story about someone who scanned in the red. I mean, for example, I tell the story about that lady that gave me the vaping machine, and she said, "My gosh, you've changed my life. My husband and I wanting to have kids, and I've been vaping, and we're talking about fertility and all this kind of stuff." There's a vicarious story that also sells. It creates an emotion. It makes people think about why they would like to have this. So then ask the questions. If somebody's in doubt, is it the science that's causing the hesitation? Is it the marketing problem? Are you unsure of yourself? Why? What is the issue? Tell me, talk to me. So punctuate the conversation with thoughts about the benefits we can offer through monitoring our health and that of our families. Health is the main thing. I listened to somebody the other day on somebody interviewing a billionaire, and he said, when the billionaire's got a sore throat, the only thing he's thinking about is his sore throat. Health is the most important thing we have, by far the most important thing we have. Without health, we've got nothing. So focus on something that is important to the people, to the person you're talking to, and make them think about why health example may be maybe the paramount thing that they need. So I got a bunch more stuff in here, but how are we doing for time? I'll do a bit more. So um, one of the catchwords that the company has is that you have the right to know. You'll see that the company is saying the device is giving us the right to know. That's huge because we don't know what we don't know. And instead of our charts being in the doctor's office, we can actually start charting our own health journey. We can chart our own health journey. We don't have to dependent on somebody else, be. So can we slow down the aging process? Hell yes, absolutely. It's a mindset. Aging is a mindset also. It's a mindset coupled to health. It's a coupled to exercise, to diet, to all of these things. So we want health, what they say, the well span and the health span to go at the same level, at the same speed. We don't want to be, you know, Steve Hawkins and be, absolutely reduced to a wheelchair and have a brilliant mind. Or we don't want to be, you know, like Schwarzenegger, great and physically and have a feeble mind. So it's got to be together. So I'm going into a little tangent here about anti-aging, but this is what it's about. I've been to several places in the last couple of weeks, and the focus has been on anti-aging, on slowing down the aging, and on tracking our health. And it's impacting the people in our families. It's impacting everybody. So are you able to take responsibility for your own health? Or are you going to be dependent on drugs? So anyway, I've rambled on for a while, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's emotional. To make a sale is you've got to get the emotion into it. Then the rationale will follow. It will follow. But the first thing is, oh my God, this I can see myself getting healthier. I can see myself eating better. I can see myself going to the gym. I can see that's what you got to do. Does anybody have any questions, any comments, please?
Good morning, Lawrence.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Dr.
If
Purvis.
if I may, we a consumer buys out of need slash want. That's why we go to the store for things or we look online for things. We are in a situation where the consumer doesn't come to us, we have to go to the consumer in most instances. We have something we know they need, but we have to generate, you use the word convince, help them see, educate that they have a need for what we have. And yes, away from pain and toward pleasure. And we have to determine what do they value the most. Where can we educate them to help them see the need for what we have? Tying into last week a little bit with Ikigai, there's a couple of facets on the same diamond. Happiness, satisfaction, and contentment, they're not the same. Some people can become content sleeping on a bed of nails. Some people are never satisfied. They always have to have more. Happiness is kind of the balance of those other two. And the customer may be content where they're at, but we have to find an area where they're not satisfied, where we can meet that and improve in that area, helping to get them into that sweet spot where those circles overlap. Just some thoughts I had.
I love it. In fact, can I just expand on that? You said need and want 100%. And by showing a score on that little prism, you're awakening an emotion to say, wow, I could be better. I should be
I'm
better.
not as healthy as I thought I was.
Exactly. I need to be better. I need to be healthier. So that emotion clicks in, and it's an emotion that says, that fits in with exactly what you said, need and want. I need to be better and I want to have that device, or I want to be better. And the satisfaction comes from what you're going to be able to derive from making those lifestyle choices that could be improved. So I love it. You're absolutely right. And that goes right in with the Ikigai. Oh, Lisa, you got your hand up. Yes, ma'am. Good
Yeah,
morning.
I actually have a question for the group, and that was good, Dr. Purvis. I like that because last weekend, Susan and I weren't on your call, Susan Melanson, because we were scanning dietitians at our state convention. And what was really interesting, and this is where I'm going the group to help us here. There were so many dietitians, oh no, I don't want to scan. They were afraid. So they knew the value, I think, because we've been there 3 times. This is our third year. But so my question, I guess, to the group is a few of them I grabbed that I knew really well. I'm like, oh, come on. Come on. Because when you have a number, you know how to improve it. Okay. All of that. And they came and a couple of them were like surprised, like 700s. But then I'm sorry, 5 to 600. But there were a lot. I don't know what percentage that just said no, walked by and said, no, I don't want to know my number. And these are dietitians. So, okay, help me move them, help us move them. That's my question.
Can't push somebody. If somebody, I don't want to know my number, people are in denial. I, I, I actually had somebody the other day as well. And the person was not well. I mean, physically, before I even scanned him, I didn't even scan him. I said, this is, oh, he says, I've been I'm taking this and this and this and whatever drugs they were taking. And I said, well, there's something that you can do to help yourself as well, and that's through your nutrition and so on. I said, I don't want to know my score. Okay. I'm not going to try and force anybody. All you can do is say, you know, because they said if my score is bad, I'm going to have to go and do a whole lot of treatments. So they're emotionally putting themselves into a very negative position that they're already visualizing something terrible about their health, which they subconsciously may even know about. So I don't know, Lisa. Lisa, I don't know how to answer that. I would personally just say, that's fine, but knowledge is strength.
Yeah, Susan and I've been working on this group for a while, and I have for 5 years, and woo, I'm about ready to close the door. Sorry about my dog. But I just wanted some help. Y'all are welcome to email me, and if you have any tips on how to convince a dietitian, because you guys know they're the ones that have the knowledge of food, nutrition, and supplements. But how do we move them? They're not moving. They're not budging.
Lisa,
Yes, Jim.
you just said, I think you touched on the problem because you said, how can I convince them? You're never going to convince them. But, Lawrence brought up such a great thing today about using questions. And with someone that says they don't want to be scanned, um, to me, the obvious question is, and you have to do it very delicately, but would you mind sharing with me what it is behind why you don't want to be scanned? I'm just curious. Let them know it's your curiosity.
Sure.
That leads them to make another statement. That statement might open a window that allows that next question. And it's a process, right? And so the one thing is never get our egos out of the way.
Yeah.
And then they're not stupid, they're scared, and there's something behind that fear. We have to kind of figure that out. The other thing I wanted to say was this whole thing about questions, Lawrence, is really good. And it made me think of you said, well, explain to them that health is the most important thing we have. Without it, we have nothing. I can't tell you how many times I've said, well, health is the most important. Without it, we don't have anything. And then I move on. How foolish. The very next thing you should ask, what are your thoughts on that? And, have you thought about it often? What are your own ideas on this whole topic of health and life? And what are you doing about it yourself? If you think about it, what are you doing? It just leads to so many questions.
Exactly, Jim. That's 100%. Questions with questions. And the more questions you ask, the more they'll tell you and they'll confess their own stuff. And I agree with what you just said to Lisa. You know, if is there anything, what is inhibiting you from knowing your score? You want to know what time it is. You want to know certain things in life we need to know. Why would you not want to know how your health is doing? It's a question. And they may say, whatever it is, I don't know. But that's a good thing there, Jim. Ask the question as well.
In regard to the dietitians, and I would expand it to health professionals, they're content on their bed of nails. No, what we present challenges their knowledge base, challenges how they look at a lot of different things. And to ask them to open up to a new idea, it can be a hard box to unlock.
I love that. Content on their bed of nails. There you go, man. You got it right on. 100%.
Well, there's a very good book, Lawrence, called Questions Are the Answer. And it's worth reading because basically what it does is it tells you how to ask questions rather than tell people things, you're asking people things. And I think that is what is really the secret behind the success of the healthcare questionnaire that we have, the antioxidant questionnaire. If you can guide somebody through it, that's great. But what Lisa has to do first is get people over their fear, because what she's confronting is flat out fear reaction. And if you have that kind of a fear reaction, you're not going to want to take any next step. You're going to walk away. You're going to run, go back in your little hole and hide. But I think there's something you can say. And the answer is, look, there are no bad scores. There are only scores I can help you improve.
Oh, that's good.
Perfect.
Another thing you may want to look at is, if they're not wanting to be uh, uh, tested, educate them. I mean, in the conference that you're at, of course, you could be one of the speakers or arrange a speaker to help educate them as to why this is so important.
I have 3 times. Sorry, just sharing that too, Ron. But I do love the questions. Thank you, everyone. That's fantastic. And I'll look for that book. I appreciate that.
What was the name of that book again, please, Lawrence?
The questions are the answer. Martin said, I don't know who the author is, though.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe
And
Martin.
remember, you can't push a rope.
Yeah. Susan, you've got your hand up.
Yes. Just in hearing, listening to the conversation, it's not necessarily, I mean, they might be content on their bed of nails, but I think it's for dietitians specifically, when they get scanned, it is a mirror of their self that's going to be shown. So, dietitians, we're the nutrition experts. We help people to become or try to become healthier versions of themselves, eat healthier and all that kind of stuff. Well, if they scan and they get a low score, then 2 things. One, they're like, embarrassed. And 2, they're going, well, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, or something. You know what I'm saying? It's an ego thing. I think it's a bright reflection of, are they practicing what they preach? Kind of like going to a cardiologist that's got a pack of cigarettes in his pocket. You and I don't know how to kind of get past that, except for the fact that because I do think that they understand the technology. I think they understand the value of having a device like this, but I'm I don't know that they that's the thing. It's like what they don't want to do is have somebody ask them what their score is.
It's like passing the test of whether of their integrity.
Right.
Are they walking their talk? And it's like having an exam. They've got to now show that they passed the test with an A plus, and they're afraid. Then they're apprehensive about that. Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
No, nobody wants to be a professional fraud. And deep in inside them, it's like, I may not be walking my talk, but deeper than that is, I may show myself as a fraud because I'm telling people how to eat. And it's funny. I spoke with a woman. I've spoken with her several times. She's become a wellness consultant. The AMA, I think, is now giving them certifications and whatnot. And she said she could never do my business because it ties to a product, and you can never say anything about a product when you're working as a wellness consultant, which I found rather interesting since the pharmaceutical industry seems to defy that within medical. It's either with a dietitian, it's going to be challenging everything they've learned about being a dietitian, and they don't want that to be challenged, or that they're not walking the talk. And I guess it just takes some questions to get behind, hey, do you feel that your protocols as a dietitian are the appropriate protocols? Would you be willing to be measured just as one other element of testing to see if it meets a certain criteria? It takes it a little further away from just them personally.
You know, Jim Trainer and Carrie, I did just read what you wrote. It just made me roll my eyes. Um, when I first met you, Jim, brand new in the business, we're touring Provo manufacturing plant together, and you came up to me and you go, "You're a dietitian." You said, "I need to talk to you because you're a tough group." And I kind of giggled. I thought, I don't get it. Susan and I guess, think outside the box. We want to continue to think beyond, our own egos and how we can help patients. But anyway, these questions were great. You guys are fantastic. I definitely have formulated a few in my mind. And Susan, we won't give up yet. We'll keep the good fight.
Well, that's what this call's all about. None of us are
Definitely.
giving up, and we're always trying to elevate our ability. Let's face it, this whole business is influencing people's on something that we know and we know will bring benefit to their life. But we have to become adept at influencing them and not just letting the ego get in the way or, just giving up too quickly on somebody. It's a tough gig.
Well, the pyramids of Egypt weren't built at one time. It's one stone. When they laid the first stone, they're probably like, man, this is heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, okay, we can just get a couple more dietitians. That'll be our first stone, and then we can just build our pyramid from there.
There you go.
I've
But
just
just
thought
say
of something.
you guys are trailblazers in your industry.
Absolutely. I just thought of something that when we look at, for example, Lisa and Susan, you are both dietitians. What's the weakest link in what you're proposing? The weakest link is the quality of the food and the quality of the fruits and vegetables and the food that you're promoting. And I'm saying that because if you look at a dietitian here in the States, the score may not be as high as a dietitian in, say, Italy. And I'll give that example. My grandson was here from Italy in December, teenager, 17, and he scored off the charts on the purple. Never's taken anything, just eats normally as a teenager. The quality of the food, the quality of the ingredients, there's the insecticides, the pesticides, the GMO, the quality of the soil, the mechanization of the picking when it's green. There's so many things that the weakest link for the dietitian, in my opinion, humble, I'm probably wrong, I don't know, but would be you're right about talking about the food. We need to eat certain foods. But where's that quality? That's not in the control of the dietitian. That's in the control of everything else. That's not in your control. That's where you can say, well, it may be that you may not score ideally because the quality of our food is not up to date, up to scratch.
You
Am I
know,
wrong?
hey,
Great point, Lawrence.
And
you
Lawrence,
know,
too, we say, because of that, we have so many processed, ultra processed, super ultra processed foods compared to Europe. And that's why when I talk to them, like, if you can't get it back up, and Lisa does too with her patients, in 2 months, if you can't get it back up with food, then let's take something that will help bridge that gap. And that's what Shelley talked about on Monday's call when she was talking about the new life pack. It helps these little gaps that we're missing. It fills those gaps and provides comprehensive nutrition for us.
You just said something key. Let's. So you're making an ally, the person that is reticent to acknowledge that this is something that they want to do. If you're saying, you know, start with the fact that the quality of our food is not the best. Why don't we team up and use the device as a monitor and you're making an ally out of the person so that there's no more them and you. It's a team that you can say, let's make a difference.
Get them on the same side of the table as you, and then paint the
Exactly.
yeah.
of what you could be looking at for a wonderful future.
Exactly.
You know,
I like that.
one other thing about dietitians, I'm going to make it analogous to a couple of other health professionals. Um, I've spoken to many dentists, went to the Hinman for several years. Dentists are so impossible to get in this business almost. And when you think about it, all dentists are really doing 90% of their business is service oriented. All they're going to do is service. They're going to work on the teeth, they're going to fix the teeth, and then you take another professional, the optometrist. Well, what are the optometrists doing? They're selling products. 80% of their income is coming from selling products. They do all the measurements and then they sell products. So, why do we have more optometrists than we have dentists showing up at the forum, right? And so, then if you look at dietitians, as far as I know, they don't sell any products at all. Theirs is entirely service, and the service they have is dictated by their profession, and that's to literally influence people to eat healthier, but they're eating unhealthy foods to try to be healthier. And I'm talking about American foods versus European, because we all know there really is a difference. And so if you could help them with what you guys were talking about earlier, kind of get on your side of the table and say, look, do you realize our profession doesn't sell products? As a matter of fact, we're not even allowed to sell products. You know, most of you are hired by hospitals or doctors' offices, and they're not going to go down that path. But if you could help them realize, to start thinking about their discipline is the right discipline, but they're using the wrong tools. And a great tool is a quality nutritional supplement.
Can I say something about the dentists? You know, um, everything goes, when I talk to the dentist, it's about the fact that everything goes through the mouth. All of our food goes through the mouth. So the dentist has got to look at the bigger picture. And I learned something from a guy a dentist. He said, I was amazed that some people have the bone is like chalk, and in other cases the bone is like marble. And he said, I understood that a lot of it has to do with diet. And if the bone is not strong, the implants will come out. They won't be so good. And this dentist telling me, there I understood the importance of nutrition and supplementation. Supplementation, because our food quality is not up to par.
There's something even bigger with dentists than that, Martin. I'm sorry, Lawrence, is a dentist will tell you 40 to 50% of their patients have some level of periodontal disease. And if you look at the studies, there's an inverse relationship between higher levels of antioxidants and lower levels of periodontal disease. So if the average dentist would take a hold of that, they could stop making referrals to endodontists and just keep the patients themselves and put them on LifePak Nano, and they would diminish their periodontal disease. It's a very simple equation.
Absolutely. I like that. I didn't realize time had gone so much. I'm happy about this. I mean, I'm not in any hurry, but I, if anybody has anything else they'd like to add or anything else, I mean, I'm here. I think these discussion, these dialogues, I think are good. Anybody got anything you want to add about anything? Any questions? Anything we can collectively reply to? No? Anybody?
I would just like to say that, this conversation today has been very good. The interaction, thank you, Susan and Lisa and Jim and everybody else that contributed. But it's very important for us to be able to talk about how we can come together as a group to and learn from each other, especially if you're really good in a particular specialty and how we can really grasp upon what we need to do, gain information from each other. And I feel that this has been a very, very good call. Thank you for Susan and Lisa for your interactions and Jim and Martin as well. Just a great call, everybody.
And
I
Dr.
agree.
Purvis for his little thing
Oh,
about
yeah. And
Absolutely.
Dr. Purvis
bed
as
of
well.
nails.
He's amazing.
and Jim and everybody. Thank you.
So, Lawrence, bottom line, thank you very much for providing a forum where we can do exactly what Carol was just talking about, because we don't have that anywhere else in the company. So this is in of itself very valuable.
It is.
Well, thank you. That's, the best way is, and actually, I'll make a little point about this. We are talked to. Instead of, us being able to express what we have as our problems, because I think it's important. I used to have 350 employees, and I loved it when I came up with some issues and they say, well, I've got a problem. Good, let's hear it. And it was a collective, my leaders in the morning were 8 or 9 heads of department, and we discussed that so that we were all understanding how the system worked, the chain. Anyway, I'm getting into another thing, but yes, thank you, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you very much for commenting and for being on the call and for bringing up your thoughts as well. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, the two-way conversation is absolutely great here.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Yeah. Thank you
Everyone
also.
have a
Thank you
great
very
Y'all
much.
have a great weekend.
Stay safe.
Everybody.
Bye now.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.